Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this week I've been daily driving this 2025 Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology. Yes, that is the actual name of the electric G Wagon, and this is the only form of the G Wagon that we have not yet featured on Topher Drives. And as some of you know, in order for me to feature an EV on the channel, it has to be special in some kind of way, or it has to have some kind of thrilling party piece. And well, I'm sure you, as everyone else, including myself, has seen this thing can do tank turns. It can basically spin on a dime, and I just think that is one of the most excellent bits of technology that you could put into an electric vehicle, especially like this, considering this has 4 independent electric motors. That's right, this is a quad motor vehicle, and each electric motor has its own 2-speed transmission. Combined power output in this thing is 859 pound-feet of torque, 579 horsepower. This is just madness, and I think it fits the bill for making an electric G-Wagon. They had to do something insane because of the legacy of this vehicle. Years and years of bi-turbo V8s, bi-turbo V12s, all of the time that this thing spent in the military. They had to do something crazy, and I think they've done it. I wasn't planning on filming this, but I've been driving it around for a few days, and I'm like, okay, we have to do a video on this because it's quite mad. And I actually haven't done a G-turn yet. I've saved my raw first impressions of doing the tank turn for today's video. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to see what it's like to live with this. I was just about to run out and go do some errands, and I'm like, well, I'll throw the camera on and I'll take you guys all along with me. I have to run to the store, grab a couple things for Emily, and I actually haven't eaten today. It's 11:18 a.m. and I need to go find some lunch. So we're going to do that while we're out too, but not before we take this around our little performance loop and maybe find somewhere to do a G-turn as well. If we can't find anywhere right now, I'll do one later once I can find a faraway spot, but I have faith that we'll be able to find one right away on our loop. So what do we have here in front of us? Well, as I told you, this is a 2025 G580. Prices at this start at $161,000. This one as spec'd today in MANUFAKTUR signature olive metallic with a saddle brown interior is $184 grand. Now this is actually quite a bit less than the G63 AMG we drove earlier this summer, and it has similar power figures. Actually, I mean, much more torque, but horsepower is about the same. It feels just about as quick. Obviously, you don't have the drama of the bi-turbo V8, but it's fun in its own way. And what I love about this is that they haven't gone and screwed up the design and made it look like something it isn't. And Mercedes is a really big offender of this with the EQS, the EQE, the EQS SUV, the EQE SUV, and so on. They took these kind of famous nameplates, the S-Class, the E-Class, and they turned them into eggs. But this is not an egg. This is just a G-Wagon. And for 2025, it got a facelift, and this looks the same as the other ones. It's got these special aerodynamic A-pillars, and, allow me to open my favorite door on the new car market, a front spoiler. This little trim bit is supposed to make this quite aerodynamic, but this still doesn't get a crazy amount of range. It does like 239 miles EPA estimate. Pulling it off the charger this morning, I saw 250 miles indicated. Otherwise though, not to get too far off topic of what I was already talking about, the only real way to tell that this is an EV is the grille. I mean, otherwise it looks just like a regular G-Wagon. Keen-eyed viewers will have noticed that this has a spare tire. Now this was news to me because I thought that every electric G-Wagon had that stupid little square box on the back that's just a storage compartment. But this one has an optional spare wheel with spare wheel ring in black. Morning, Haas. And that's about a $1,200 option, among other things. Of course, we'll put the entire spec in the description for you guys. But anyway, let's go ahead and quickly show you around this. I mean, it is just a G-Wagon, I guess. Can I say that? It's just a G-Wagon, but that's what I love so much about this, and I hope we can kind of get into that in today's video to show that, yes, this is still a G-Wagon. And as you can see, very nice load surface, kind of shallow but wide compartment or space in the trunk here. What is this? Oh, this is so you can charge at a Tesla station, I think. That's neat. Otherwise, we've got a speaker back here. We have a full Burmester sound system. Of course, we'll do a test on that today. This really nice quilted leather in that saddle brown. We have this walnut trim. You'll see a lot more of that once we get up front. I just love opening and closing things on G Wagons. It is my favorite. Ah! Proxy key. That is a new thing for 2025. Obviously, that carries to the G580 with EQ technology. Jumping in to the back seat. This doesn't have the stupid rear seat entertainment package, which means at 5'11", I actually fit back here and have plenty of room. Obviously, headroom is no issue. You can just sit back here and pet this beautiful Alcantara headliner. Fold down armrest with some cup holders. We have our own climate panel back here with temperature and fan adjustments, 2 USB-C ports, and kind of just a traditional car charger outlet there. 2 seat back pockets. And we have heated rear seats back here. The one thing I don't like about G-Wagon interiors is where they put the interior door handles. I think they're a little bit awkward to use. As I got into the back seat, the car locked and then unlocked. Hall's going by again. And it reminded me, I don't know if you guys can hear kind of that ambient noise. We had a EQS Maybach late last year, and whenever you would walk up to it, it would play like its own little theme song. Well, this has the same sort of thing, but since this is a G-Wagon, it gets its own name. Mercedes calls it the G-Roar. And it's kind of the piped in engine noise while you're inside, but it also includes this walk-up sound, which kind of just sounds like a spaceship, I suppose, as you walk up to it. I actually have not even opened this hood yet at all. I don't even know what's under here. You guys will be seeing this with me for the first time. How does this open? Like so. Ah, exactly nothing. Well, at least they've put little textured bits in here to give it some dimension. But, okay, no frunk with the electric G-Wagon. This is all just things to be touched by the dealership, I suppose. And if you need to add washer fluid, you can easily do that right there. What do you guys think of this signature olive metallic? I think it looks quite nice. Now, when I said I haven't done any tank turns, or G-turns as they call it, I didn't mean this G-Wagon hasn't done any, because the Topher spent the first few days of this week with this, and as you can see by the tires, he did some G-turns, and he told me that it is excellent. So I'm excited to see what that's like. But let's jump in this. This has the $8,000 MANUFAKTUR signature interior package, which basically means they cover everything in leather, except the grab handles, which are actually leather in this, but you have to pay extra for that. And we have this optional 2-tone steering wheel, which I think looks quite nice. We had a similar one in the G550 that we were driving. I think that was earlier this year or late last year. And then this has the standard walnut trim. This is a no-cost option. I think it goes really well with this spec overall. It's a very, very nice look. Kudos to whoever spec'd this particular G580. Okay, let's start it up. We have 4 auto up-down windows. We have a moonroof in this with a normal shade. It's very easy to open and close. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I mean, this is all just normal 2025 G-Wagon stuff. You guys have seen this twice on the channel now. What's different is this little switch panel here. Instead of having like the manual gearbox option and whatever else they have on here, we have the options to do our different turns. Now, this will do kind of a half turn, like a trail turn, or it'll do the full G turn, which is this switch on the right-hand side. The off-road cockpit, love that that's carried over. And like I said, we'll try and find somewhere to do that. Otherwise, though, split folding armrest. We've got this little hidden compartment with heated and cooled cup holders, wireless charger, all the stuff. Really nice grab handle with MANUFAKTUR script in there to let everyone know that you paid the extra $8,000 for this special interior. This has different gauges, or rather just a different skin on this because it is a digital gauge cluster, but as a Mercedes EV does, we have these very fun displays. Sport mode, you've got the little UFO that moves around in the middle, and then you also have the understated display, which mimics your ambient lighting color choice and gives you a clock. And this little prism thing here, it's just kind of a calm display, which I do quite like using at night. But for today, We'll start in Classic. The other ones are the same as any other G Wagon. Full physical climate control panel with good button clicks. Love to see that still here. Good vent placement. I mean, this is still a G Wagon. They haven't screwed this up and made it something that it's not. They've just put a massive battery under the car, which does actually charge from 10 to 80% in about half an hour, which isn't fantastic, but you know, you're still able to do the trick. We've got a 97% charge right now, showing 245 miles of range, so we shouldn't really need to mess with any charging today. But anyway, you guys know this interior. I'm starving. Let's go find something to eat after we do our little performance loop. Into reverse with our column shifter. We have a 360 cam, which looks fantastic. Really high quality reversing camera. Some keen-eyed viewers will have noticed that they just redid the parking spaces, the paint in this parking lot. Love the sound of those automatic door locks locking themselves. And when you're just driving around at low speeds, as far as steering weight and the way that the chassis moves and things, it just feels like a G Wagon. I mean, this has adaptive dampers on all four corners, just like a regular G Wagon. The wheels and tires are similar size to a regular G Wagon. In fact, the frame is very similar, but it just, you know, it's modified obviously in the middle to fit the massive battery, but a lot of this is, it's the same as a gas-powered G Wagon. I'll be quiet so you guys can hear the G roar as we take off behind this beautiful Ford Taurus wagon. And what's so interesting to me about that is they have somehow managed to perfectly capture the rumble of a G Wagon V8 at like 3,000 RPM. And they make it come on in such a way where it just feels so natural. Like I feel like I'm driving an old G550. This is crazy. Like G Wagons have this very distinct sort of like raspiness to them, or rumble or roar as they call it. And they've captured it with this fake noise, which is, I mean, good job, Mercedes. Let's put this in sport. That'll make things a little bit louder and snappier. Now, obviously, the 859 pound-feet of torque is a party piece in its own. Blinking traction control light at 60 miles an hour. That'll happen. Front end is all over the place. Gets nice and light, which I guess nice isn't really the right word for that, but the reason I love the G63 AMG so much is because it's flawed, because it's like, it's just this big, silly, fast, rumbly SUV, and you kind of get a little bit of that with this electric one. Go for our pad. Okay. Gotta hang on to the steering wheel for dear life. But that's cool. I love when an EV isn't precise, because most electric cars are just kind of like eating angel food cake without putting strawberries on it. But this has extra strawberries and whipped cream. You actually have to work for it in this, which is fun. Into the brakes, which do actually feel quite nice. So much body roll. We don't have the active roll mitigation like you'd get in an AMG car in this G580. Even though it says AMG on the floor mats, it's not an AMG. We're gonna go this way today. Try and find a spot to try a G-turn. But anyway, very quick, but it's also very heavy. This weighs about 7,000 pounds. In fact, it's just under. Obviously the G-turn is fun and it's a party trick because it'll just spin and spin and spin, but it is actually functional off-road tech. If you reach somewhere where you can't turn around with the turning circle of the vehicle, you can just spin it like a tank. Okay, well, as we're in sport and as we're on a straight section of road, we should stop and do a 0 to 60 test, which we will after this what is that, a Chevy Spark comes by. Lovely. I don't think this has any sort of launch control, but you are able to brake torque it and get it off the line to 60 in under 5 seconds. So let's try that now. Yep, I believe him. I believe the under 5 second claim. It just F's off. It's so funny how this is still so characteristically G Wagon. Oh, tons of body roll. What a thing this is. I never care about EVs, but I love a G Wagon, and this is still a G Wagon. Right. I'm gonna go sneaking over here. Ignore the Volvo forklift thing. Unlocking a new section of the test loop that you guys don't often get to see. This is basically just grasslands where there's a water treatment plant and things. But at the end, there's a fence. Now, normally you could just, do your Austin Powers 18-point turn type thing and get this turned around. But I shouldn't have to do that in this. I can hit buttons and just spin this around. In theory, I've got enough room to the left and to the right. We're on grass. I shouldn't be kicking up rocks anywhere. So, okay. The first step is to put this into rock mode, activate drive program. Okay, I have to remember Doug DeMuro's tutorial that I watched the other day. Then I think you click this, G-turn, only in low range, which means you have to go into neutral and select low range, which I've done. So now I can click G-turn, select range D. To turn vehicle, hold gear shift paddle and depress accelerator pedal. Oh! Okay. And then we've ended up the way that we don't want to be. Oh, we're in a cloud of dust. Okay, we need to escape. Oh dear, we need to escape quickly. That's the coolest thing I've ever done in a car. Run away! We've made the olive green a bit tan, I think. Don't worry, this is actually a 2-track. I haven't just driven onto somebody's grass. This is just super overgrown right now. Okay, I need to take this out of low range, which means I need to go into neutral again. Ride quality is fantastic over this uneven section. Wow. I imagine the damping has changed when you go into rock mode. All right, we're gonna pull over up here. Put this into neutral. Risk of rolling away. Take this out of low range. Put this back into comfort mode. Back into drive. And I think we're back to normal. That's it. Get G roar out of here. Okay, let's get this away. I'm still making dust. Let's get this downtown or somewhere away from here and find some food because I am starving. Blinking traction light again, up to 60 miles an hour. I'll show you guys the sport cluster display. I think is just the funniest thing. I saw this first on the EQS Maybach. So it's a G meter in the middle with what I can only describe as a flying saucer that moves around as you turn the vehicle. And then on the outside is a power gauge. Got to make sure not to crash into this abandoned boat that's been there for a couple weeks. Okay, we're good. And it turns red when you're at 100%. Into the brakes. Oh. Good thing these seats are very well bolstered and comfortable. I know we touched on ride quality while we were off-road, but this is just sublime. I mean, it floats over everything. For a body-on-frame vehicle, I mean, I don't think ride quality gets any better than this. We have 4 levels of recuperation, as Mercedes calls it. You can control that with your paddle shifters. I like to keep it in maximum. This will not completely one-pedal drive. It'll slow you down to about 5 miles an hour, and then you have to operate the brake pedal to get it to stop. Or you can have no recuperation and just drive it like a normal car. But usually when I'm in any EV, I like to have the regen. I like to get as close to one-pedal driving as I can. Steering is pretty quick in this as well. I mentioned similar weight to a regular G Wagon, so it is pretty light. Makes this maneuverable, and I think a common misconception about G Wagons is that they are massive, but they're really not. I mean, this is a really good size that anyone could maneuver. Yes, it's very tall, but it's not very long and it's not very wide. So you can just put it pretty much anywhere you want, except a parking structure, because you'll take the roof off. That would be expensive. Why don't we show you guys the understated display here as we get onto the highway. I think I've got this on Malibu Sunset right now, just because I like the sunset vibe for driving at night, but this will mimic any color that you set the ambient lighting to. Even merging here at 70, you can hear that G roar. All right, so first thing I want to talk about on the highway is NVH, wind noise. Where the G Wagon, it's always a little loud, and it's really not the car's fault. I mean, it is, because it's the way that it's designed, but it's just like a big rolling brick, so you're never going to be as quiet as, say, an EQS or an EQE that is shaped like an egg. But I'd rather drive down the highway and hear a bit of wind noise that I am able to drown out with a Burmester than look like an egg. So, trade-offs. I think the only thing here is the NVH is a bit accentuated by the fact that this is an EV, because you have less things making noise in general. So it's loud. It is what it is. Otherwise, highway manners are great in this. With it weighing nearly 7,000 pounds, it feels quite planted and happy to be rolling at respectful highway speeds. Ride quality, just fantastic. I mean, it just floats down the highway in a very beautiful fashion. Visibility out of the G Wagon, quite good. The only little blind spot you have is the spare wheel. Otherwise, you can see just fine. Even these little mirrors, which I think look so funny on G Wagons, they do the trick. Yeah, I can see everything I need out of them. On the highway is where this max recuperation comes in handy, because you are truly able to one-pedal drive. I mean, you never have to touch your brakes on the highway unless you're coming up to like some insane traffic. But let's show you the cruise control. We don't have the full suite of the Mercedes-Benz driver aids in this, but it'll do cruise control. It's got adaptive cruise. You can set, everything's adjustable on the steering wheel as well. And I love the graphic down here that actually shows a G Wagon, and then the car in front of you looks like, geez, it looks like an old CLS actually. Driving position is fantastic, as it is with any G Wagon. You can rest your left elbow on the top of the door panel. You can rest your right arm on the console. Elbow comfiness, if you don't want to do that, is quite good. You've got good squish on both surfaces, so you're comfortable in here. Driver's compartment has enough room. Center console doesn't intrude on your space too bad. It's just, and it's a cool feeling. I mean, driving like this, if you've got the window down, you can stick your arm out the window. It's just a fun experience in this car. And nothing really mimics a G Wagon. Like, genuinely. Alright, let's kill the cruise control. And both hands for this right-hand sweeper. I am going straight to get a poke bowl right now. And then we'll go to the store, and we may just end it at the store, honestly. And since we're not going to be able to make any noise whatsoever under our favorite bridges up here exiting the highway, why don't we do the sound system test here on this Burmester. Got a little volume slider down here on the console next to your little touchpad. And you've got a haptic button here on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. Just an excellent system. In fact, in my opinion, it sounds even better here in the G580. I wonder if there is some extra kind of sound deadening and things in here that make the experience feel a little bit more full with this Burmester, but really just an excellent sound system in every category. So let's get this pulled into this little complex here, and then I'm going to inhale a poke bowl. Why are we stopping? Why are we stopping? Come on. There you go. Well, this is the thing. I mean, this is kind of a tight driveway. You can see even the person in this Passat is a little nervous pulling in, but I'm good. Turning circle in G-Wagons isn't the best, but at least they aren't, like, unpassably massive. And it is lunchtime. It's 10 minutes before noon. Gonna get this pulled in. I'm gonna stick this here on the end, right behind the sheriff. Into reverse, that camera will come up. G-Wagons fit into spots with no issue. Parking sensors down on the bumper, warning me of that curb, but I'm sure I would have the ground clearance to go over it anyway. Into park, the parking brake actually does not automatically apply, but you can do that right over by your left knee. We'll shut this off. It even gives you a little animation with that. You can see here in the parking spot, fits with no problem. We even have plenty of room to spare as far as length goes. It blew some of that dust off too on the highway. Actually, I think I cleaned the tires up a bit from wherever the Topher was doing his G-turn. But anyway, I'm gonna go in and get a poke bowl. We'll have lunch and then we'll go to the store and wrap this one up. Now here's the thing. The proxy key does genuinely make a world of a difference when you have your hands full and you have a Mango Calpco in your hand. You can still go down in here, and that door's a little hard to open, but it saves you having to fumble in your pocket for the key. And then you're in and insulated. And I'm gonna start this because it's an EV, so it can idle while I eat, and I'm gonna use the cooled cup holder for my drink.
Hello, test drive.
Hello, G580. Poke bowl. dealt with. I was being an iPad kid while I was eating. I had my phone propped up here, and it made me realize that the middle of the steering wheel isn't leather wrapped. I always complain about that in Mercedes cars, but maybe now the fact that I just noticed it means it's not that big of a deal. But you think with the MANUFAKTUR signature interior pack for $8,000, they'd wrap this in leather. Okay, anyway, well, let's get this G Wagon out of here, and we're actually going to go this way. Right, here we go. Even the G Wagon wasn't narrow enough to shoot that gap. All right, let's get this down the street. We're gonna go to Target, pick a couple things up. But in the meantime, I suppose we can kind of wrap this up. In the beginning of my video, I told you all that this still does feel like a G Wagon, and I'm gonna stand by that. I do think it does. But the problem is, there are two other G Wagon choices that you have, the G550 and the G63, both of which are fantastic. I've lived with both, and I love them both. And while I do still like this, I don't know that I'd pick it over those. Obviously, those two can't tank turn. So if you want to have that really cool party piece, then obviously this is the one to have. But I don't know if it's worth all of the other kind of sacrifices. Now, do I think the 250-ish miles of range is enough? Honestly, yes, I think it is, because I don't know that anyone is really using a G Wagon for anything else than kind of just what I'm doing, kind of running around to the shops. If you live in Los Angeles, you take it down Rodeo Drive, run a couple curbs over, and then go home. I mean, that's kind of what the G Wagon is for. So in that sense, the electric one does make sense, especially for people that don't care about having a rumbly V8. And I guess especially now that the G550 is an inline six, you have even less of an incentive to buy that. So maybe in the case of this versus G550, it's a bit of a toss-up and you can kind of go either way and be happy, but this does not trump the G63. I mean, I absolutely adore the G63, and there's no way I'd pick this over it, even though it can tank turn. I would still rather have an actual V8 motor under the hood. And while this is good, this does its job so well, and I think the fact that I've even had to consider choosing this in the lineup of G Wagons should say that it is a solid contender. They've gone through and they've made this still feel like a G Wagon by just making it still a G Wagon. I mean, it is just that. I think they've done this right. I don't think there's any way they could have executed this electric G Wagon better. It's a really impressive thing that's still just perfectly flawed in all of its own ways. It's very well built, and it can tank turn. I've said that 20 times, but I don't know. Hopefully you guys kind of understand what I'm on about, but that's what the comment section is for if you don't and you have some questions about it. But let's get this pulled in here, and we might just go ahead and wrap the video. I don't think you guys need to see me walk out of Target with like a bag of groceries and figure out where to put it. So I think that's going to do it here for the 2025 Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology. That's one thing I would change, is the name. I think the name is just preposterous. Why did they were going to call it like the EQG or something, which I guess that's not great either, but why not just call it the G580? That's it, end of story. At least it doesn't have a with EQ technology badge on the back. That would be very silly. And most people aren't even going to know that you're driving an electric G Wagon until they hear the G roar when you hit unlock on the key fob or use your proxy key. See the turning circle. I feel like maybe the turning circle in this is a bit better than a gas-powered G Wagon. Though it could just be placebo because I haven't driven one of those in a while. And there's a car behind me, so we're not going to back in, but we're going to pull in really quickly right here through a spot. There we go. I'm happy with that. To finally sum this up, still feels like a G Wagon, still has a lot of that G Wagon charm, and I'm really, really happy about that. And if you're somebody that just doesn't really care about having internal combustion, you drive less than 250 miles a day, this is a great option. It costs about the same as the others. It's not like exponentially more expensive. It kind of slots right into normal G Wagon pricing. You can still get all the manufacturer options in here. So I applaud Mercedes for still making something that is exciting and electric, because these days that isn't super easy. And you get to open and close the doors and make that sound. And also show that the doors in G Wagons are just like the perfect size, because you can kind of open them all the way and not ding the car next to you. But that is going to wrap it up. I'm going to walk around this way because I suppose it's Saturday. I forgot that it's the weekend, so it's just going to be chaos in here. But that'll wrap it up for us. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, let me know if you have any questions about the G580. But that'll do it, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.